Paranormal mysteries no other show will touch. My name is Bill. Welcome to the Night Terrors Weekend Show. And we're starting right now. Welcome to Eldergrown and Takahama Plateau, and welcome to Gotcha Man. Good evening, Gotcha Man. My Banned by YouTube series is not there. Where is that? Where is it? My Banned by YouTube series drops an episode every Wednesday morning. YouTube said to me, take down 3 years of your videos. These videos are no longer on the channel. The only way you can see them is to catch them on Wednesday. Welcome to Brooke Birch. Brooke Birch says hello, everyone. If you value what I do on the Night Terrors streams and in the Night Terrors videos, one way to support the channel is through Patreon. Become a patron of the show by clicking on the Patreon link in the description below. Thank you for supporting the show. Welcome to Green Tea. David Bryce says good evening. Welcome, Green Tea. Matthew Anderson wants to know what's up. Rhino Rex has arrived. Welcome, Rhino. We are beginning with a suggestion by Takahama Plateau. Do it. T-Ceratops, so welcome, T-Ceratops. Shane Riley says hi to all. And Deneen CPLC says hi there. Welcome, CPLC. Brooke Birch says, we finally caught the coof in my house after 5 years. We all feel like we have a bad cold. My hearts and prayers are with you, Brooke. Welcome, Zerithian. Thank you, Rhino X, for the suggestion. What happened to all my suggestions? Where'd they go? Where'd all my suggestions go? Oh, gosh, I switched to sheet 7. Uh-oh, this is not good. How do I switch back? View 1, please. Oh, where is all my notes? I just saw them. 2. View. 3. View. Maybe it's not the view. What was I on? View 2? I was on view 2. Where did my stuff go? Everything's erased from my notes. I had T Plateau's suggestion right here. View. Is there one where you go to a different sheet? Copy, paste, pictures. Edit, view sheets, control panel. Where's sheet 1? There we go. T Plateau has reappeared. Okay. And now I can copy Rhino Rex idea. Thank you for the suggestion. Gladys says Night Terrors AI. Gladys says Night Terrors to Night Terrors. AI deleted it. And T Plateau wants to know, was Suzanne Jovin unalived in 1998 linked with the Skull and Bones Society? Let's find out. Here we have the results. Ooh, CT Insider. This sounds interesting. Well, we want something mentioning Skull and Bones, I think, right? Unaliving at Yale. They're the only ones that mention Yale so far. Let's try CT Insider first. Okay. And here is a story entitled The Unaliving of Yale Student Suzanne Jovin Continues to Haunt Loved Ones and Investigators 25 years later. Thank you. I'll just X out of that. Is there an author? Written by Randall Beach, correspondent. And Randall begins. Suzanne Jovin got up extraordinarily early for a college student. It was Friday, and she had a lot to do. Intent on finishing her crucial senior essay. How about finishing instead of fishing? The 21-year-old used her student ID card at 4:24 a.m. to pass through the gate at her residential college at Yale. Was she coming or going, though? Working in a nearby computer room for much of the morning. There we go. I guess at her residential, coming into the residence. Jovin told a fellow student she was in a rush because she was also facing a deadline to apply to graduate schools. She was planning to apply to Columbia. Overlander BC is here. Overlander says, I found your channel again after YouTube must have booted me off. So I've resubbed and glad to be back. Love your show, dude. Thank you. Thank you, dude. Thank you, Overlander BC. Frog Fan is present. Welcome, Frog Fan. Just before noon, Jovin picked up the keys for a Yale station wagon she would use later that day to transport people to a pizza party she organized for the Trinity Lutheran Church, 4 blocks from campus. Thank you, Zerithian. Zerithian just subscribed with Prime. By the way, people, you can subscribe with Prime to the show for free. So check that out. Prime gives you 1 free subscription to Twitch, and it should be Night Terrors. Thank you. As her mother had done at Yale, Jovin, as a freshman, began volunteering with the Yale chapter of Best Buddies, which pairs students with individuals with disabilities. By her senior year, she was running the program. Good way to use student interns. At 1:30 p.m., she was back in her apartment near the residential college, spending a few hours more on revisions to her essay. Later that afternoon, she dropped off the revised draft at the office of her advisor, Professor James Van de Velde. Jovin began picking up other Best Buddies participants around 4:30 p.m. and soon arrived at the party herself. After helping with the pizza baking and assisting with the cleanup and driving people home, she returned the Yale vehicle around 8:45 p.m. She went back to her apartment for a few minutes. When a friend invited her out to a movie, she said she was too busy. At 9 p.m., she emailed a female friend she was planning to retrieve some materials. It says GRE materials. GRE. Please explain GRE. GRE. My goodness gracious. So soon we have to go to AI. Maybe we could just ask Google, huh? Or ask DuckDuckGo. Let's duplicate that. What is GRE? GRE. This says, it doesn't tell what it is, though. GRE. It's some kind of test you take to qualify for, to qualify for school or something. Qualify for what it is and how to prepare at U.S. News. The GRE general test is an objective assessment of skills. Yeah, but what is it for? College studies and tests. Yeah, but what do you need a GRE for? I guess we have to ask AI. What does one need to pass a GRE test for? required for graduate work. Graduate school requires it. Okay. I should have thought that that was it. Graduate record examination. That should have been a hint to me. Okay, so she wanted to retrieve at 9 p.m. She emailed her friend. She wanted to retrieve GRE materials from an unnamed person who had borrowed them from her. Jovin told her friend in the email she would leave the materials in the lobby of Jovin's apartment building for her friend to use. That's a little confusing. At 9:20 p.m., she was walking in the center of campus when she encountered friend and fellow student Peter Stein. She told him she was returning her car keys, and she was tired and looking forward to getting sleep. He would be one of the last people on campus to see Jovin alive. I think we're going to go through more timestamps here. It was unseasonably warm that night, December 4th, 1998. Welcome, Big Daddy X84. Green Tea says it's like advanced SATs. Right, because SATs are for regular, like a 4-year institution or 2-year institution, right? Graduate study tests, confirms Green Tea. Thank you, ma'am. 2 residents of New Haven's affluent East Rock neighborhood, about 2 miles from the campus, heard a man and a woman arguing. A passing motorist heard a woman crying out, "I can't believe you're doing this." So I guess they're suspecting this is the unnamed person to whom she had to return the materials. Just says, "Hey guys, nice to see everyone." Hey, Just. Shortly afterward, a couple was out on a stroll to enjoy the Christmas decorations on the East Rock homes. Just before 10 p.m., they came across a young woman bleeding out on the ground. She was lying face down across the sidewalk beneath a tall oak on the corner of Edge Hill and East Rock Roads. Stabbed 17 times in the back and head and neck and throat. She was fully clothed and wearing her rings, watch, and earrings. So a crime of passion, evidently. Big Daddy just subbed over on Twitch. Thank you, Big Daddy. Much appreciated, sir. A sub does not mean the same thing on Twitch as it does on YouTube. Thank you so much, Big Daddy. Mystery Flavor says hi. Welcome, Mystery Flavor. The ambulance arrived quickly, responding to a 911 call from that couple. But it was too late. Jovin was pronounced dead a half hour later at Yale New Haven Hospital. Tina T has arrived. Welcome, Tina Tomaszewski. We're in the middle of an unaliving mystery here. It's been 25 years since Jovin was unalived. No one was ever charged. All these years later, residents of East Rock and countless people beyond it are baffled over how someone could get away with unaliving someone in such a densely populated setting, considered safe. Above all, they're frustrated. Her slaying remains one of the most notorious unsolved unalivings in Connecticut history. Because of the personalities involved, the theories of what may have transpired, and because the victim was a charismatic rising star at a world-famous university, to wit, Yale. Some thinking it was connected to Skull and Bones. In fact, let's go to Skull here. Why don't we? Let's search for Skull. Whoops. I don't know why it did that. I just clicked here. That's a Control F for Skull. One mention, not good. We want the skull and bones connection. Let's go back to the search. Why do we have booking.com at New Haven? The real estate people selling stuff. And we want here, okay. Let's start with a Skull and Bones and Jovin. Let's go Skull and Bones Jovin. We want the Skull and Bones connection. Nothing about it at that article. Search only Skull and Bones Jovin. Wikipedia entries. Vanity Fair. Yes, please. Open a new tab. And here we have... Gotchaman says they are desperate for tourists. Have you considered going on vacation to Skulls and Bones? Thank you, Tina T. Vanity Fair, how we X out of that? No thanks. Okay, we got the details of the up to the unaliving. Let's look for that skull section. Control F should retain the skull. It does. 0 mentions of skull here. No, 1 mention. Yeah. And we want a Skull and Bones connection here, people. Are we not going to find it? That one mentions someone else. Another murder, another unaliving in the area. Rhino Rex says they've scrubbed the mentions of skull out of it. Is Billy, where's, okay, where's, let's go to Wikipedia for this section. They probably have a whole Skull and Bones section. That's a little large type. Let's tone it down a bit. Thank you. Okay, skull and let's look for skull. What the heck? No Skull and Bones mentioned whatsoever. All right, let's read that section at Vanity Fair then. The only mention to, the only connection to Skull and Bones I could find so far. By noon the next day, many had heard the terrible news, and flowers piled up at the gates of Devonport, Suzanne's residential college. Devastated students sobbed in the courtyard. It seemed like a nightmare happening all over again. Welcome, Gladys. In 1991, Christian Prince, a sophomore lacrosse player and 4th-generation Yale attendee, was shot and unalived near the president's house as he was walking home from a party at the Illurian Society, a secret society akin to the more famous Skull and Bones. Prince's unaliving had traumatized the university, which responded by investing more than $2 million in campus security. Over the years, Yale also pumped millions into the troubled, crime-ridden neighborhoods that surround the spectacular campus. But Christian Prince was the victim of a random unaliving. Suzanne Jovin, the police believe, was unalived by someone she knew. We'll continue here at Vanity Fair. This story written by Susanna Andrews and entitled Murder Most Yale. What no one was prepared for was the shocking news that one of Yale's own, James Vandevelde, Jovin's 38-year-old senior essay advisor, was a suspect in her unaliving. Velde was a brilliant and well-liked political science lecturer. He was also a graduate of Yale. In the week following the incident, Velde vehemently denied any involvement and twice went in to be questioned by police without a lawyer. Some professors, they're really smart, but not that smart, right? Always have a lawyer, people. Always have a lawyer. He gave the police permission to search his red Jeep Wrangler and his apartment, a half-mile from the crime scene. According to one of his attorneys, Velde also offered to take a blood test and a polygraph, but the police did not act on these offers. As the weeks wore on, Jovin's unaliving became more and more mysterious. FBI specialists in profiling the perpetrators of serial unalivers and unusual psychological crimes tried to piece together a portrait of the killer. Dr. Henry Lee, Connecticut's public safety commissioner, worked on the Nicole Simpson and John Benet Ramsey investigations, and he examined the clothes that Jovin was wearing the night she was unalived. The New Haven police searched the sewers around the crime scene, enlisting local treasure hunters to comb the neighborhood with metal detectors. Hoping to find witnesses, they set up roadblocks and interviewed scores of people, including Yale students and faculty. In March, at the request of New Haven Police Chief Melvin Waring, who acknowledged a dead end, the governor, John Rowland, offered a $50,000 reward for information, leading to the arrest and conviction of Jovin's unaliver. 7 months later, no arrest had been made. In January, police confirmed that Velde was in a pool of suspects. Rockers to rockers, welcome. And although police never said it publicly, today it is a pool in which he seems to be swimming alone. How he could have done it and why, and how he could have covered his tracks so thoroughly, are baffling questions the police have not publicly answered. His attorney, Ira Grudberg, one of Connecticut's top criminal lawyers, says, "It sounds like they have zero evidence. Zero against Jim." Richard Broadhead, the dean of Yale's undergraduate college, says, "No one knows who did it months after the fact. Allegations have been put in motion. There's a confirmation by police that the professor is a suspect, but there's no arrest." A woman who is a friend of Jovin says, when I think of Suzanne, I mostly remember how much fun she was. Suzanne laughed a lot. At the Naples hangout, she'd go nuts when we got on the dance floor. Her friends recall how beautiful her singing voice was, how much she loved to go to the theater, how much fun she was to laugh with. And we're going to wind this up now, as we have a boatload of suggestions, for which I'm grateful, because this week I did not do my due diligence. This is a show completely based upon viewer suggestions. And the author ends. Her classmates placed a slab of black stone as a memorial in her Davenport, to her in Davenport's smaller courtyard. Nestled in a flower bed under a linden and a dogwood, it reads, Suzanne and Jovin, in loving memory, 1977 to 1998. 21 years old. January. Almost 21. The candle that students had placed on the stone had been extinguished by the rain that poured down on graduation day. A torrent that also drenched the bouquets of flowers and a single rose. Still, says a friend, it's as though Suzanne was there. In the months since the unaliving, says one woman who graduated that day, a lot of us would wake up in the morning saying, today, maybe we'll find out it's who unalived Suzanne. Then we realized that we might not know before we leave Yale. Now we might never know. Next up at 26 minutes past the hour, a suggestion from Eldergrown. And that is at explorersweb.com, a story by Christine D'Abro. Christine D'Abro. It's French. I'm estimating the pronunciation. Entitled Exploration Mysteries. Lost Cosmonauts. Listen. Listen. Talk to me. I'm hot. Oxygen. Oxygen. Am I going to crash? For several decades, these chilling words, which screeched through a makeshift radio in the 1960s, have refused to fade. A choppy, distorted, and panicked voice of a woman in trouble was one of the many recordings. Yeah, that's right. The Soviets were the first to put a woman in space. Which gave rise to one of the most persistent urban legends of the space age, the lost cosmonauts. Believers in the lost cosmonauts reject Yuri Gagarin's title as the first man in space. Their theory insists that the Soviets were secretly launching humans into space before Yuri made his pioneering flight aboard Vostok in '61. The cosmonauts on these earlier flights had all died. It is 4 years after World War II. Italian brothers Achille and Giovanni Battista, but that's not their last name, Giudica Cordiglia, had a vested interest in radio technology. They spent their adolescence saving up to buy parts to make radio antennas. Just the antennas. Along with other pieces of radio equipment they bought from American soldiers, they built an enormous antenna, which they mounted on the roof of their apartment. For fun, they enjoyed tuning into frequencies from around the world. Gladys says they threw Colonel Sanders off a bridge in Japan. Yeah, that's right. They evidently there's over in Japan where they sell Kentucky Fried Chicken. They have these large effigies of Colonel Sanders, like 3D, maybe fiberglass, painted fiberglass replicas of the Colonel. And I guess one of them got fished out of a river in Japan. Thank you, Gladys. However, one moment changed everything for the brothers. When Russia successfully sent Sputnik 1 into orbit in '57, It also launched the space race. In 1958, the U.S. followed with Explorer 1. Excuse me. The brothers managed to capture the frequencies of both missions. I assume they mean the radio broadcasts. Akil and Giovanni wanted in on this space race in their own way, by eavesdropping. In a repurposed World War II German bunker just outside of Turin, where their parents had moved the family, they continued their radio work. They eagerly set up an experimental listening station with their homemade radios tuned into happenings in the night sky. They make their own radios too. Now that's hardcore. For months, the brothers worked tirelessly to perfect their system to track Soviet missions. One night they held their breath as faint beeping started to come through their headphones. Morse code. More accurately, an SOS, which is I can't. It's three, then three short, three long, three short, and it's really fast. It's not. It's and if you listen to Morse, you'll recognize it. After that, panicked transmissions from a team of 3 people, 2 men and 1 woman, said, "Conditions growing worse. Why don't you answer?" And, "Remember us to the motherland." And, "We're lost." Over the years, such dire transmissions continued, further fueling rumors that the Soviets were regularly losing their cosmonauts. Right. They wouldn't release that information to the outside world. That was when there was a real Iron Curtain. News outlets caught wind of the story, but it wasn't the first of its kind. In 1959, an article from the Continental in Italy claimed that a Czech official gave a list of the names of cosmonauts who died during their missions. Alexei Ledovsky, Andrei Mitkov, Sergei Shaborin, and Maria Gromova. In a Soviet periodical called Aganoik, Aganiak, Pyotr Dolgov and Ivan Karker were declared unalived, not during a clandestine mission to space, but after conducting a parachute test at high altitude. No one was able to confirm. Yeah, they probably suffocated. Oh my goodness. Rhino Rex said, "I heard they actually would airbrush the lost cosmonauts out of photos of their space program. They would have to. I know they did that with political figures. There's one famous political photograph of the famous guy that killed anybody more than any other, more human beings than anybody else on Earth in human history. I wish I could remember his name. Stalin. Stalin was in a picture with 2 other people. And at one point, one of those people became undesirable, and they photoshopped him out of the picture, airbrushed him out of the picture. And then later, when the other person became undesirable, they airbrushed him out of the picture. So the picture ended up with just Stalin and no one else. Rhino Rex says they just pretend they never existed rather than admit failure. All right, we're at the parachuters, right? No one was able to confirm and clarify any details. This begs the questions, were these parachuting cosmonauts actually high-altitude test pilots, or parachutists? Akil and Giovanni's discoveries did not escape notice. Soon enough, there was an ominous knock at their door from none other than the KGB. In Italy? These guys are in Italy, right? Writer Micah Hanks at The Debrief wrote that years later, a journalist named Chris Hollington tracked down a KGB visitor in 2008 who admitted, quote, "Of course, we were interested in the Giudica Cordiglia brothers. They were hacking into our communications. Imagine that today, a pair of amateur kids taking apart the Russian space program like it was a toy." End quote. To their surprise, the man let them off with a warning. Maybe these Italian brothers are in Soviet Russia somehow? Nonetheless, the visit itself was ominous and made them question whether or not the Soviets were trying to cover up or silence any interested parties. But if they were behind the Iron Curtain, how did they get this information out? Or did they? Elder says, I'm pretty sure they were in Italy. Thank you, Elder. Gotchaman says, they did not have good radiators. Things that radiate their engines, the heat of their engines off into space. In early spacecraft, so they would have cooked, says G-Man. Thank you, G-Man. I got to find out where these two Italian kids were. Okay, we're like exactly in the middle of the story here. It was 4 years after World War II. Italian brothers. It doesn't say where they lived, though. It did say where they lived. Oh, it said they moved to Turin. That's in Italy. So let's say they're in Italy, being visited by the KGB. Okay. I was expecting the article to say CIA, but did they have CIA back then? I don't think so. They had something else. S something S. SIS or something like that. Let's find out. Where is that AI? What was the name of the American intelligence agency which preceded the CIA? And what were its years of operation? OSS, says Eldergrown. And that is correct. OSS, Office of Strategic Services, 1942 to 1945. So at that time, I guess it would be the CIA. No way, it says the CIA was established in 47. Yeah. So it would have been the CIA if they'd been on top of if they'd been on the ball. All right. If I can find this story, I'll be lucky. No, it's right here. Okay, good. What does the KGB get off warning Italian citizens? The brothers' work earned them a well-received visit to NASA headquarters, where scientists praised them for their inventions and self-taught knowledge. They also recorded John Glenn's communications during his mission in '62. NASA and the brothers actually exchanged information, with NASA trading American mission frequencies for Russian ones. Akil and Giovanni established the Zeus network, allowing radio enthusiasts around the world to tap into space flights. The Zeus network lasted until 1969, with the moon landing. Or it says here, at least until '69. Did the brothers actually overhear dying cosmonauts crying out to the ether for help? The many cryptic and terrifying jumbled cacophonies. Wow. Yeah, that's a little over the top. That's a little over the top. We're just about in the middle here. Christine. That's a little over the top, Christine. At Explorer's Web, maybe at Vanity Fair, but at Explorer's Web, the many cryptic and terrifying jumbled cacophonies, or cacophonies, suggested a failing Soviet space program that could leave America the victor of this highly politicized race. Some believe the brothers lied or exaggerated to gain notoriety. Why did they have to lie? NASA brought them in. According to writer and science scholar Maria Rosa Menzio, the brothers received two kinds of translations from the mostly indiscernible recordings they intercepted. When they sent them to native Russian speakers, the translations made little sense. However, when they took the recordings to a German teacher who spoke Russian, the teacher only gave them what she thought she heard or was able to make out. Therefore, skeptics find the brothers to be an unreliable source. Space historian James E. Oberg provided his own take on the lost cosmonauts. Digging into some of the names, he claims to have clarified the story of one of the victims mentioned in Agoniak. He said, quote, and you can see the quotes. Green Tea likes my thumbnail for tonight. Thank you, Green Tea. Dogloff, an experienced test pilot and stratospheric parachutist, really did disappear under mysterious circumstances at about that time. More than 2 years later, the Russians announced he had just unalived in a high-altitude jump in November of '62. He also quoted Dr. Charles Sheldon, a Washington expert on the Soviet space program. Quote, "Those who would believe in these purported Soviet orbital deaths must think there's a second and independent Soviet manned program. He must be a debunker of some kind," end quote. That, my parenthetical interjection. It is no secret that the Soviet program had its share of bad luck. There were many accidents, probably more than we know, never made public. But most importantly, one of the main reasons why many people believe in the lost cosmonauts is the highly secretive and authoritarian character of the Soviet Union. Media, higher education, culture, and even thought were under heavy state control and censorship. No one truly knew what was going on. From assassinations and undercover operations to mysterious disappearances, it was always tempting to lean toward the theory of a cover-up. This brings us to another strange story. In the newspaper, The Daily Worker. And she has not yet informed us, but yeah, that sounds like a Soviet rag. Nikita Khrushchev teased at upcoming launches that they were ready to send money into space. Let's send money into space. That they were ready to send men into space. Then nothing would happen, which made people believe the launches occurred but failed. Eldergrown says that's kind of what they do. I know, right? It's extremely expensive. Every gram is counted in what is launched into space. Tina finds that amusing. Thank you, Tina. Journalist Dennis Ogden wrote about a cosmonaut named Vladimir Ilyushin, who was supposedly the first man in space, rather than Yuri Gagarin. He launched 2 days before Yuri Gagarin's flight, but his flight crashed in China, and he suffered severe brain damage. Officials claim Ilyushin was the victim of a car accident, while others say this was an excuse to explain away his injuries. The Cold War was a battle between West and East, but also a fight between what was real and what was not. Truth and propaganda came head to head. Oberg says, quote, "The only safe answer still is that no one outside a small coterie in the USSR can know. We can say, however, that there is no hard evidence to indicate any fatal secret mission." Well, there must have been at least one. Come on. As we examine the evidence, ends the author, it is possible that the lost cosmonauts could have been a group of ill-fated high-altitude test pilots or parachutists who might have been destined to go into space one day. Unfortunately for them, they didn't make it. In the craze of one of the world's most intense periods, truth was often mixed with fiction. Excellent topic, Elder. Thank you, sir. Next up, a topic from T Plateau. At 48 minutes past the hour. Guy Changer says, "Billy's the best." Thank you, Guy. You ain't so bad yourself. Wish I could have thought of something a little bit better than that. You ain't chopped liver yourself. Thank you, Guy. Green Tea says, kind of reminds me of the theory that all the astronauts of the exploded Challenger either are alive or have doppelgangers the exact same age. Interesting, Green Tea. Thank you. And from T Plateau, let's go there for T Plateau. And I should have that lined right up. Subliminal movies. Not subliminal movies. Subliminal messages. It's a little bit different. Subliminal messages in movies and ads. Let's do ads. I think that's really cool because I've seen like in ads for alcohol. They'll put like for liquor, let's say. They'll amidst the ice cubes in a glass of whiskey, they'll put the picture of a skull or something like that. It's pretty cool stuff. Let's do subliminal messages and ads. Thank you, T Plateau. 9 ads with subliminal messages you've probably missed. Maybe. 9 examples of subliminal advertising. 7 sneaky at Mental Floss. Gotcha Man says subliminal movies in my mind. That's when I fall asleep to YouTube and I have weird dreams. Green Tea points out the subliminal messages that they tried at drive-in theaters, I think maybe in the 50s, for like 1 or 2 frames, flashing pictures of popcorn or soda. And then people supposedly bought more popcorn and soda than they normally would. Top 10 subliminal marketing examples. Let's try that from colorgraphics.com. Color spelled in the British manner. Tina T says, I've done that before. Fell asleep with YouTube playing and had freaky dreams. I can't go to sleep without YouTube. I'm on, right now I'm on History Valley. And I have to have History Valley playing when I can't go to sleep. I got to be hearing something. Something's got to occupy my mind. Thank you, Tina. Yeah, let's try color graphics. Open link, new tab. As it loads, there's a Coke ad. Reject all, yes, please. Green Tea also sleeps to sound. Elder with a link. Thank you, Elder. Tina says, me neither, Bill. For some reason, Dr. Phil episodes make me sleep like a log. Right? Dr. Phil, an icon. Elder with, it looks like the same link, so I'll click on one of them. Gotcha Man says, here's a subliminal Coke ad. Let's not keep that up too long. Twitch might get angry. Oh, it's a funny video for chats to watch. Okay, thanks, Elder. Check out Elder's link in the chats, people. Top subliminal marketing examples used by brands. Coca-Cola Shapely bottle. Wow, wow. Rhino Rex says, me and T-Ceratop sleep listening to creepypasta stories on YouTube. I'd probably, the problem with that is for me that I'd get too interested in the story. Break out the frosty bottle. Some of you might remember when naughty British gin brand, is it Gilbey's? Gilbey's. I thought it was Ghibli's. It's Gilbey's. Tried to take subliminal advertising to a very little level in the 70s. I wouldn't be surprised if they still do it. Positioning ice cubes so they clearly read sex. Yeah, right. Look at the ad. Let's check it out in a separate area. That's, I don't know if that's subliminal or not, because it actually spells it out. S, obvious E, obvious X. S, you could have done better with the S. Is there a way we can see one of those ads? Let's look for some subliminal in a liquor ad. There's a term for it in advertising. A magazine, term for a magazine ad, but I don't remember what it is, or if I ever knew. Okay, we'll just say liquor ad. Liquor magazine ad. Okay, we need something with a glass. That's old. Vintage, it says. That looks like it might have something. It's fairly good resolution. I don't believe it. I don't believe this. Open image in new tab. Where's image? Open link in new tab. Where's open image? I'll just say open link. What? There we go. I clicked the wrong link. I could have sworn I saw something else in that. Let me... Yeah. To me, in this glass right here, that looks like Schmittler. That looks like freaking Schmittler. I don't know why they would put Schmittler in an ad, but... Here, the sloping hair. And there's the other part of his hair. The mustache here, what would you call it? The Charlie Chaplin mustache here. And the eyebrow there. The smaller you make it, the more obvious it is. So if you're on a mobile, hold it away from your phone a little bit and tell me that doesn't look like Schmittler. Right in that glass. What else they got? Wow, this is easy. Get rid of this guy. We need liquor ads. Why do they put beer in here? Stanley Zastafanovich is here. Welcome, Stan. There's a bald man's head at the bottom of the bottle, says Stan. Oh, we have to see this again then. We still have it? Yeah. Bald man's head. At the bottom of the bottle, huh? Let's make it smaller. Whoops, that's not smaller. Bald man's head. Take screenshots and maybe look later. Example 2 and 3. Thank you, Green Tea. I'm going to open that link. Brooke Birch says, I can vaguely remember cigarette ads in magazines before they pulled them. Another Groan says, I just see booze. Delicious booze. Big forehead and eyes. I don't see the round part of the... Oh, the eyes there, huh? Okay. All right. Yeah, here's the two eyes, right? Okay. Yeah, I can see it now. No doubt, right? How about 81? No, we want current. Don't they advertise liquor anymore? Coronet. Let's try Coronet. Brooke Birch says, I remember my mother buying me candy cigarettes. Those were cool, right? They were actually gum, but they had powdered sugar. And for one puff, you could pretend to be smoking. They had powdered sugar at the lend you would ostensibly light if it was a real cigarette. Althor Gross says, you're never too young to start. Sarcasm alert. Green Tea says Joe Camel for Camel cigarettes was very phallic. I heard the opposite. I heard it, I don't know how you say it, but I heard it was the other gender, the sex organ of the other gender that Joe Camel represented. Tina Tomaszewski says, "Oh, the candy cigarettes. I remember getting them when I go trick or treating. I was never that lucky." I went, but I did go to the corner store and pick them up. It was a little candy place, sold candies and soda and stuff like that. Those little candies on the sheets of candy, the dots, they sold there. The little wax bottles with the sugar syrup inside. The slightly sweetly flavored wax lips. Just a little bit of sweet flavor. You couldn't chew it like gum for very long. Remember the wax lips? Rhino Rex said, "But man, did we look cool." With the candy cigarettes. Elder with a camel ad. Thank you, Elder. Tina remembers the wax bottles, too. Kenga Kong has arrived. Welcome, Kenga. The wax lips were just awful, says Rhino Rex. Right? They were the lowest. I'll have to agree. They were the lowest on the kid candy rung. Because they weren't that sweet, but they're just a little teeny bit of sweetness. Little teeny bit. So cheap. I had to go open that link from Elder before I lose it. Yeah. Yeah. I heard it was not the phallic symbol. And I'm not going to make any other comment because I don't know the word for it. But just take a look at Joe Camel's nose. Gotcha Man says, I miss some of those. Lady Phallic says Green Tea. I miss the little jawbreakers that were black and licorice flavored. I think I only tried a jawbreaker twice in my life. Where am I going now? I got to go to a story right here. It's around here, yeah. I don't ever like jawbreakers. What, suck on them for 10 hours? They were so huge. For a little kid? Nah. Ms. Tomaszewski didn't like them either, so I feel justified. 2 for a penny candy, remembers Green Tea. Tina agrees with me on the jawbreakers as well. Gotcha Man says it was an early autism test. The jawbreakers, I guess. Rhino Rex says, my cousin got sent to the IGA with $5 for soda. He was 10 years old. But he forgot what he went there for. He came home with $5 worth of penny candy. That was in 1985, so that was a lot of candy. They still had penny candy in 85? Wow. I still want to look for those, where's the pictures? Is it here? Here. I still want to see another liquor ad. Oh, maybe here. Fetch like baby. A JD ad, Jack Daniels. Looks fairly recent. We'll just go here and open image and new tab. Thank you. Go right here. Anything here? I see a skull that's too obvious. Ooh, that's spooky. That looks like two eyes in the ice cube. Served in fine establishments and questionable joints everywhere, reads the tagline. You really have to see him from a... That's as small as it gets, actually. I'm not seeing much in here. I see a lot of mushrooms indicated. Maybe it's some kind of phallic indication there. There's an obvious mushroom there, and that looks like a toadstool. Two mushrooms in one picture. Could it be a coincidence? Oh, that's really scary. I just saw it. Oh my God, that looks like the head of a man facing down. Check out this one right here, people. For your mobile users, we're gonna go right here. Here's the nose. There's the two eyes. Right there and there, thereabouts. There's the mouth. There's the thin nose right there. And there's his hair. Looks like the head of some kind of circus freak. It's probably politically incorrect to say circus freak. Or some deformed person, because, yeah, check that out. I'll go... Wow. It's a spooky head right there. That, I think, is... wow. Tina sees it, too. Kenga says, I'm sorry I have not written to you to get your address. Yeah, I was looking for that. And send the cookbook. I got you. I've been struggling with my lizard disease side effects. By the second week of August for sure. You take care of yourself, Kanga Kong. Don't worry about me. I'm praying for you, okay? You take care of yourself first, all right, honey? Rhino Rex asks, is this like the adult version of the games on the back of the cereal boxes you play while eating? This isn't subliminal. This is just pareidolia. But what if pareidolia is put in the picture intentionally? Let's try let's try. Oh, you're welcome, Kenga. Let's try putting in subliminal ads into the image search. Subliminal ad. I bet we'll find a good liquor one there. There's an article at Snopes. Oh, that's private conversation. Okay. Matt McCabe says, I can't drink whiskey. I can't either. It just makes me angry for some reason. Vodka tonic works for me. Thank you, Matt. Welcome, Ryu 1972. Ryu says he needs some Jack. Okay. Now, this is supposed to have a subliminal ad. Oh, that's the sex ad there. Oh, come on. This obvious crap here with the SEX ad. Mystery Flavor asks, but does it want to make you want to buy whiskey? Okay, there's supposed to be a there's supposed to be subliminal message in this picture. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, that's not too subliminal. Hope that didn't play too much. That was an accident. Let's go to something else. That's too obvious. Oh, come on. I want the hidden in the... Oh, there we go. Here's a McDonald's ad. Open image, a new tab. Now without... Well, actually, we need to go this way and then open image, new tab. Oh, no, we have it already. Is it the same as if I do this? Open image, new tab. Huh. Oh, another sex, S-E-X. I want to see the... Ooh, look at that skull right there. Or look at that pareidolia. I want to see the sneaky ones. One of the sneaky ones. Not sure if that one is or not. Oh, that's really poor resolution. Who knows if we'll even be able to see it. Let's reduce it so we can actually see. What could that be? There's supposedly a subliminal message in this. It says here, some see a naked woman in the ice cubes. Others simply see the need for more shivas. That's different from Gilby's. Yeah, that's the Gilby's SEX. There's a naked woman in these ice cubes. Some see a naked woman in ice cubes. What? Is anyone seeing a naked woman in these ice cubes? Stanley Z says, every time I see a skull, it makes me think French fries. Yeah, I'm not seeing the woman. Elder doesn't see it either. Green Tea says there was a subliminal ad with the face of a bulldog. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't see a naked woman. It should be more... Should be able to... I would think it's the white parts, right? I think they're pulling our leg. No, I don't think so. Okay, what else? Get rid of this. What do you notice? Glint. Advertising. Mystery Flavor says the naked lady looks like a lizard head. Elder with a link. Thank you, Elder. This is the oldest doggone advertising idea in the world. Rubber set shaving brush. In other words, the hairs don't come out of the shaving brush. That's an oldie. Another link from Elder. Another bulldog. The ladies dig my strong defense system, reads the caption. Welcome, Sunshine Girl. Wow, it's been like forever. How are you doing? We're looking for subliminal ads in magazine ad. Subliminal ads that are in magazines or something like that. How about in Bacardi? Here we go, subliminal advertising. Okay. Let's see if we can, without reading the article, let's see if we can figure it out. Open image, a new tab. This is guaranteed to have a subliminal ad in it. What is it? Bacardi. I'm not seeing it. What does the article say it is? Wait, I have to duplicate this then. No, I don't. I have to go here. And go here. Dark ROM, blah, 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 blah. Hidden messages. Okay, what's it say? Appeared in major magazines for 2 years. Majority of print, blah, 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 some print. This Bacardi ad appeared. Well, what's in it? Tell us what's in it. In folklore, bats are associated with demons. So I guess it's a bat. The Bacardi bat. Okay, so, all right. A bat, huh? Which is, boy, that's confusing. So, those are the wings, I take it, at the side here. Whoops. Let me see if I can see it. It does look like a bat. Kinda. Not one you will recognize as a bat, though. Ryu says, man, Bacardi sounds good. Bacardi Coke sounds good. The Bacardi trademark is the bat. Yeah, it is. But I thought that was what they said was in the picture. The color gold. The Bacardi bat. The color gold. Implies wealth and status. The golden skull. Okay, here's the skull, supposedly. Kind of a lopsided skull, if you ask me. Now look closely at this area and see if you can locate the image of a skull in the glass of rum. These being the eyes? Those the teeth? It's a pretty wavy picture of a skull then. Elder says, that's a pretty weak skull. I agree. I don't see it. I don't see the skull. And that's all I've been looking for is skulls. So much for Bacardi. NBC bans parody throat lozenges. Welcome, Kayla Rain. Kayla Rain says, my phone is busted and I can't justify buying another just yet. The only thing I can do is scroll up. That must be horrible. Kanga says, the face of the skull looks pressed in like it's deformed. Yeah, it looks like a deformed skull, so I don't think it's a skull. Not like... The skulls I've seen in these subliminal ads for liquor have been obviously skulls. Once you know what you're looking for. That, to me, no, that's not a skull. After all, your subconscious mind in this theory has to be able to recognize what it is. Here's the camel with the naked man, says Elder. Thank you, Elder. The naked man. Where's the naked man? Oh, okay. All right. No kidding. Okay, people, here's one for you. Camel with a naked man. Now, if you can't see it, I'm not surprised. It took me a second to figure it out, too. There's his eye, his hair, his nose. He has his arm on his, propped against his right side here. Here's his chest. Here's his leg. And I'm not going to say what other part of anatomy is clearly represented in the southern regions. But yeah, look at that guy facing the opposite way of the camel. His arm's on his hip, says Tina. She can see it too. Thank you, Elder. His unit, says Ryu 1972. Yeah, there's his unit. Right below the camel's belly. Oh, God. I better shut up. I'm going to get in trouble. That was a good one, Elder. Sneaky advertising. Okay, what about this? It's supposed to be sneaky. Examples of subliminal. Oh, I'm scared to know. This looks kind of like it's going to be gross. But I'm also brave, so let's open that in a new tab. Here, so here's the picture. Not. Pictures here. Not. Oh, it went to the end? Where did the picture go? There it is. Okay, so that's there. That's after the blogger. And let's also open the website, which will tell us what we're supposed to see there. And put it right after the blogger. From spooky to not safe for work. Oh, I'm pretty sure this is one of the ones not safe for work. Okay, I'm scared, but I'm going to take a look at this anyway. Because there's some really unusual formation around here. That doesn't look like a normal chicken patty, breaded chicken patty. Okay, what is it supposed to be? Let's find out. What? No. What? Oh, here we go. Tell us what's in the chicken sandwich. You don't need to be that big. It's a dollar bill hidden in the lettuce. Oh, wow, nice. Yeah. Yeah, I would do that. Yeah. Gotchaman says he's in flavor country. On the camel, Rhino said, I was always told it was JFK taking a leak. Oh, Sunshine Girl points it out. Thank you, Sunshine Girl. There's money in the lettuce. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's sneaky. Yeah, it's an elongated one. Oh, it's an elongated George Washington right there. I was looking for something less obvious. Tina says, there it is, a teeny tiny dollar bill. It's a little elongated, so they did some, probably wisely did some distortion of it. But yeah, definitely. Okay, more examples from that page, please. What the heck? Did that make this go big too? Why is this not moving? This is just an ad, right? Why is it not moving? Refresh. Yeah, that's just because for some reason, it made everything go big. All right. KFC's 12th secret ingredient. Good night, Sunshine Girl. Okay, what's up with Wendy's classic yet somewhat disturbing logo? A rather subtle detail, the apparent inclusion of the word mom. Because there's the O, right? M-O-M. Maybe in cursive. Okay. Yeah, it's impossible not to see once it's been pointed out. M-O-M. Okay, what's in this one? It's Marbles ad. Open. Come on, can't we open the link in a new tab? Oh, we have to go big on this. Okay. But then we can't do anything else. Oh, well. What's supposed to be in that? I think I remember seeing that, though, over here. So let's go put that next to the search. Where did I see that? There's those two people. I'm sure there it is, right there. Okay, so now we have a picture of it, which is really poor resolution. Maybe that'll help. Let's open a new tab. Good, it stayed close by. What is supposed to be in this ad? Benson and Hedges 100s. If you got crushed in a pinch, if you got crushed in the with your soft pack, try our hard pack. I'm thinking it must be something with the the words X here, sex here. S-E-X, okay. Rather crude. Okay, what else is in this article? Anything else of note? Marlboro. The barcode was never intended to be anything other than a neutral design. It was never intended to be a reference to the Marlboro brand in any way. Tina says he's holding his member behind her back. Really? This I gotta see. Oh, thank you, Green Tea. Green Tea with another link. We'll check that out briefly. I thought he's holding her. Oh, I see it. I wish that it won't let me enlarge that particular picture. Oh yeah. In fact, two of them, right? Oh my God. This one's probably more likely for this guy. Link from Green Tea. Last one. The Cranky Creative. Subliminal messages. Hungry, eat popcorn. Here's that old story. Da-da-da-da. More sex. More sex. Anything odd about promotional for the Lion King? No. No way. No way. That's pareidolia. This is getting bad. Looks like maybe Night Court clip right there. Oh, thank you, T. Plateau, for the jewels. Much appreciated, ma'am. Okay, time for our next topic, people. That one was Elders, right? That was Elders. Okay, let's see. At 31 past the hour, we have a topic from T. Plateau. No, we had a 2 from T. Plateau, right? Next one's Elders. We have another topic from Elder at 31 past the hour, and that is... It should be over here. It might be this. There we go. At Mercatornet.com is a story by Stephen Tucker. Entitled The Mince Pie Martians, a UFO Christmas story. And Mr. Tucker begins. On January 1979, as the Yule season was drawing to a close, a 43-year-old British housewife from the small town of Rowley Regis near Birmingham, had a very strange experience. She met real-life, living versions of the model fairy from the top of her Christmas tree. And they came from outer space. Nowadays, a cult classic of British ufology, the case of the Mince Pie Martians is a close encounter so notorious that it's been put to music. Awakening that cold, dark, snow-filled New Year's morning and spying an orange glow in her carport, Mrs. Hingley presumed her husband, Cyril, had forgotten to switch the light off on his way to work. Going out to check, she found instead a bright light hovering over it, like a big orange. Jean then saw 3 strange beings floating speedily into her house through the open door, with a sound like Z-Z-Z. They looked uncannily like larger versions of the fairy on top of the Hingley family's Christmas tree, an item they proceeded to shake about like excited toddlers. As Mrs. Hingley later explained, they glowed with a brilliant light. As they floated past me into the lounge, I saw they had wonderful wings. 3 little slim men, between 3 and 4 foot in height, in silvery green tunics and silver waistcoats. What do you call them, waistcoats? With silver buttons or press studs, which they pushed when speaking in metallic robot voices. Their pointed hands and feet were covered in the same silver green, and they had pointed caps on their heads of the same color, and something like a lamp at the top. They had transparent fishbowl helmets over their heads, which rested on their shoulders. Their faces were waxy white, corpse-like, and they had black diamond eyes. She could see no noses, but the mouths were very thin. Their wings were large and oval-shaped and glowing with rainbow color, more beautiful than earthly colors, like Joseph's coat of many colors. In short, as drawings show, they were a cross between cartoon fairies or angels, of the type often used as cheap Christmas decorations, and the classic alien greys, now made famous from U.S. media, films, and TV shows. T. Plateau says, great. AI Martians. Where is it? They don't show her drawings. Pardon me, people. I must readjust my seating arrangement here. Thank you. The entity's very presence made Mrs. Hinckley's pet dog Hobo collapse by his drinking bowl, with his hair sticking out all over like that of a hedgehog, as if he were drugged, said Mrs. Hinckley. She, too, became paralyzed, feeling, quote, as though I was in heaven, although still at home, end quote. She then levitated into the living room, where the fairies were themselves also flying, busily reading her Christmas cards and touching all her household objects. Reading her Christmas cards. Maybe they're looking at the pictures. Although they sometimes shot laser beams into her head, which froze her to the spot. The creatures told their unwilling host not to worry, reassuring her, we shall not harm you, because we come from the sky. Knocking the smaller fairy from the top of the tree, the larger fairies were helpfully informed by Mrs. Hinckley what such a decoration was. She said, we put up a tree at Christmas because we believe our Lord was born then. We know about Jesus, they replied. Then they read a newspaper whose front page contained the New Year's honors list. These people must have been knighted, Mrs. Hinckley elucidated. The apparently Christian entity shot back. Everybody goes to heaven, the figures promised. There are beautiful colors there. The fairy folks certainly sounded like Christians, but then they slipped up. Mrs. Hinckley had long been a very religious woman, but had not attended chapel for a few years, disliking newfangled modernized services. No worries, the visitors explained. Religious worship was unnecessary to enter heaven these days. There is no need to worship in synagogues, they informed Mrs. Hinckley. But how would Christians confuse a chapel with a synagogue? Maybe they don't know our language. Then the aliens began bouncing up and down on the sofa like naughty children before being told off by Mrs. Hinckley. What followed was a long, very strange conversation in which the beings discussed the rightful place of women in the home. What year was this? (1979). These aliens from the 50s. Right, please, we went home. They also performed catchphrase impressions of popular TV of a popular TV game show host. Bruce Forsyth, and revealed themselves as unexpected fans of the 1950s British singer Tommy Steele. Mrs. Hingley also offered them a plateful of mince pies. The pies simply stuck to their hands like metal to magnets. Mrs. Hingley then foolishly lit a cigarette. This caused the entities to flee back into the garden and into their waiting spaceship, before flying away, not up to Mars, but over the fence and across the open ground towards Oldbury. End quote. They took the mince pies with them. Excuse me. Oh, shoot, what did I do? Don't tell me. Oh, my goodness. If you people would excuse me for one moment, I must pick up a fallen item. How can I do this not too stupidly? Okay, people. Thank you so much. They left physical traces behind them. The TV set, cassette tapes, and clocks they had touched were electromagnetically ruined. There were melted marks in the snow in the back garden, matching the landing area of their ship. Thank you, Deep Plateau. Good point, Just. The dog Hobo subsequently fell ill, as did Mrs. Hingley herself, who developed eyes so sore she had to wear sunglasses for a week, indoors and out, suffered repeated blackouts, and was signed off work from her factory by her doctor. Given all this supporting corporeal evidence, the best non-paranormal related guess is that Mrs. Hingley actually endured a close encounter. Father Seraphim Rose was a controversial California-based hieromonk of the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia, who in 1975 wrote a strange tract, Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future. He argued that with the UFO phenomenon, Satan had hit upon a cunning new plan, ensnaring the souls of mankind, having his demons pose as ETs, staging a series of fake landings and encounters with humans across the earth, spreading belief in the existence of aliens with access to advanced space technology. T. Plateau points out that a hieromonk is a monk of the Eastern Orthodox Church, and he is also a priest. This time I'm going to go to an emergency topic. Thank you, Elder, by the way. That I prepared really shortly prior to the show. It looked real interesting, though. I think we've talked about it before, but I don't think you're going to remember it. And that is it right here? Oh no, it's like right here. Right here? Yeah. This story right here. This is a story at listverse.com by Mike Williams. 10 bizarre little-known mysteries of the unexplained. And I was looking at number 7 here. It looked really interesting. Let me read it to you. It's only one paragraph long. British Columbia foot findings. Over several recent years, a series of disembodied human feet were discovered on islands, shorelines, and the Fraser River in southwestern British Columbia in Canada. The ads are playing hell with my display here. These feet washed up on shorelines and were seen floating in the water, always in a defined area known as the Georgia Basin. Elders heard of this. Even more eerily, the feet were inside shoes, and they were almost always left feet. A variety of terrifying theories came forward, while some have attempted to explain the mysteries as a function of drowning and decomposition. Some suggested that the feet might naturally detach from drowning bodies. Naturally detach. While others put forward the ridiculous theories that left feet were more likely to show up due to their shape. What would be the difference between... I mean, I assume they mean they would float better or be propelled better in the water because the big toe is on the right side of the foot. Statistically, it was considered very puzzling for not just 2, but 3 feet to show up. For a total of over 8 feet to appear is completely bizarre and terrifying. No theories can adequately explain how southern British Columbia and Washington were inundated by ocean-going severed feet. Let's see if we can find out more about this. We're going to start with AI. Southern BC, we'll just copy this part at the end of it. Plug this into AI. Oh my gosh, I'm going to pardon me. Please tell me about this story. This true. Yes, this is true. It's an unusual phenomenon, often called the Salish Sea human foot discoveries. A string of incidents where severed human feet, still in shoes, washed ashore along the coast of southern BC, Canada, and Washington State, USA. First discovered in 2007, these discoveries lasted until the mid-2020s. That's today. As of the mid-2020s, over 20 human feet have washed up. Okay, well, I must know. Was the preponderance of the feet found left feet or right feet? In the early years, there appeared to be a preponderance of right feet. Of the first 5, 4 were right feet. This led to intense speculation, with someone collecting left feet. However, as more feet were discovered and identified, the numbers evened out. Okay. Key characteristics. Feet were found inside running shoes or hiking boots. All discoveries were single feet. No signs of foul play. DNA identification. Many of the feet have been matched to missing persons through DNA analysis. Whoops, better turn off the dragon. Most matched cases involved self-harm unalivings, accidental drownings, and undocumented unalivings, perhaps from boating mishaps. So we need to know DNA analysis. Wow. Why the Sailor Sea? It has complex currents that tend to concentrate floating debris, or in this case, feet, in certain areas. It also has a dense coastal population, from the U.S. all the way to Canada. The phenomenon inspired media speculation, obviously. What are the possible reasons? Why so many single feet? The ankle joint is prone to separation during decomposition. Modern sneakers are buoyant and protective, allowing just to float intact for long distances. The rest of the body sinks or decomposes underwater. Would you like a chart showing the timeline of left-right feet discoveries by year? No, that was just a random question of mine. Green Tea says, sharks don't dig toes, man. Dom Cortez, welcome, Dom. Matt McCabe says, no sign of foul play. You just found a severed limb? Okay, guys, that wraps it up for the evening. With some the toenails I've seen, I'm not surprised, says T Plateau. Don't forget where is that icon? Don't forget the video dropping Wednesday morning. Until next Saturday, may God bless and protect you all.